Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Three sisters, Brighton case. Although, as I said yesterday, not 100% sure they are sisters, but yeah, probably so. Today was an absolutely bizarre day. I don't know whether to laugh or cry at what happened at the inquest. Well, inquest part one, because the big news, I guess, well, there's a lot of big news, but one of the big items of news with this inquest is that it has been adjourned, and part two of the inquest will happen on, I believe it's the 8th of October. So many months ahead of us in which to speculate aplenty, given that what we were told in the inquest has really resolved very, very little in this case. Now, what I want to do is to, first of all, have a quick look at who the coroner is. Those of us that have gone through the Jay Slater case and suffered at the hands and the voice and the thinking of Dr. Adderley would be very, very keen to know who's handling this case in Brighton. And it is one Penelope Schofield, I believe her name is. So we'll have a quick look at her. And then I will just read through the BBC report on what happened in court today with a lot of interjections because, like I said, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. So first up, let's have a look at what we know about the coroner, Penelope Schofield. Now, if I told you the coroner has a criminal conviction and went to jail, I mean, this is the UK in 2026. I guess some of you might say totally expected. Um, I didn't expect that. But let's have a look at the article that was found by one of my trusty commenters, Team Smith, pulling through today with a lot of good research, I can tell you that. And where do we go to find out exactly what it says? Not there. Hang on a second. Solicitor who lied to police. It could be that one. Was this coroner a solicitor before becoming coroner? I believe so. A solicitor who lied to police to save her detective boyfriend from a drink drive charge was yesterday suspended. Yeah, was yesterday suspended from practicing law for 2 years. So this must have happened a while back. Miss Penelope Schofield, age 35, from Hambledon, Hampshire, who was also ordered to pay £1,420 costs, looked relieved at the decision by the Law Society Solicitors Disciplinary Tribunal. Earlier, she had wept as she told the hearing of her regret at lying in a bid to protect her former boyfriend, Detective Constable Nigel Phillips, when he crashed his car after drinking too much at a Christmas party in December 1996. So that's going back quite a ways, 96. 30 years ago. She was jailed for 3 months last November for attempting to pervert the course of justice. The hearing was told that hundreds of people had written letters to support her since her conviction. All right, so jailbird coroner there, jailbird Schofield is the coroner. And not only that, there's another document out there expressing grave concern that it is coroner Penelope Schofield. It is also handling a case in Sussex regarding potential manslaughter involved in Royal Sussex County Hospital cases. I'll just read this one so you get a better idea of the background to Penelope Schofield. I mean, you're probably thinking Adderley in Lancashire was the bottom of the barrel. But I've got to say, given her background, I think Penelope Schofield has pulled one out of the bag for Sussex here. Sussex, I think, is going to claim gold medal for the most astoundingly inept and criminal coroner, surely. It says this document presents serious concerns regarding the appointment and conduct of Penelope Schofield, the senior coroner for West Sussex, who has been overseeing the investigation into deaths at the Royal Sussex County Hospital in Brighton. The deaths, which occurred between 2015 and 2021, are currently under police investigation for potential manslaughter and other serious charges. This report also examines whether there is a clear conflict of interest given Schofield's tenure as senior coroner during the period these deaths occurred. I would say so. I would say so. I would say big conflict of interest here, because if these deaths are now suspicious and they happened during the tenure of this coroner, and they were passed off as something other than manslaughter. And it turns out, if I know it's if, but if it turns out that that the coroner went down the wrong path in Sussex, this is big news. So anyway, three big reasons why I think Schofield is totally out of her depth on this one. Number one, her criminal past. Number two, what is happening with that investigation into possible manslaughter charges in West Sussex, in the West Sussex hospital case. But also, when you get to hear some of the comments that Schofield made in the inquest today, I think you'll join me in saying this ain't the right person to be handling this. But let's see if we can pull up the BBC report on the inquest today. Let's see if we can find that. Where is it? Inquest opens for three sisters who died in sea. At sea, I think it should say. It is the BBC. That's poor English for BBC. Inquest opens for three sisters who died in sea. In the sea. Okay. We understand exactly what they're getting at. As I said, I'll be interrupting this because my jaw dropped when I started reading this. An inquest has opened into the deaths of three sisters in the sea off Brighton Beach, with the coroner saying she hopes it will, quote, stop social media speculation over the tragedy. You know what? I'm getting fed up of people in authority, especially coroners, police, and the rest of them, urging us to stop speculating. This is why I don't think Penelope Schofield is the right coroner for this. She doesn't understand that when there is an absence of evidence and certainty, it is human nature to speculate, especially when there are red flags all in the background. My problem with this is if the coroner doesn't understand natural human curiosity, how the hell is a coroner going to get to the bottom of something that could well be some kind of scam, some kind of criminal activity? She's not the right person. The right person to be in charge of this inquest would be someone that says, I can quite understand why the public will be speculating on this case, given the absence of concrete evidence. But instead, she's one of these, it seems to me, that is very keen to shut everyone up, but seems to have no clue how to get to any reasonable answers. Yet it is Adderley 2.0, 3.0 going on in Brighton. Let me go back to the article. Jane Adatoro, 36, Christina Walters, 32, and Rebecca Walters, 31, who were all living together in Greenford, London, died on the 13th of May. Hello, where has Greenford, London popped up from? Till today, it was Uxbridge, Uxbridge, Uxbridge. Okay, well, Uxbridge is just down the road from Greenford. But either you have the specific address of these three or you don't. Why did we hear for 2 weeks they lived in Uxbridge, Uxbridge, Uxbridge? Then all of a sudden today, no, not Uxbridge, Greenford. Okay, Greenford does have the same postal code as Uxbridge. Yeah, UX, what have you. And that, I suspect, is what we were going on, we being the authorities up till today. They had an address with an Uxbridge postal code. And that is why we heard originally these three sisters live in the Uxbridge area. And I said at the time, why are you saying in the Uxbridge area? You've either got an address for them, which is in Uxbridge, or you don't. And now I'm hearing Greenford, London, I'm thinking, yeah, you never had an address for these three. You did what I did. You looked up one of their names. It happens to be Christina Walters is the one that is on the electoral roll with an address in Uxbridge. Or at least, yes, with an address in Uxbridge. But now we hear it's Greenford. Can we be sure? I would say we can't be sure. If it's moved from Uxbridge to Greenford already, where are we going to be told they actually lived when the inquest resumes in October? Let me continue. At the inquest at Brighton and Hove Coroner's Court on Friday, Senior Coroner Penelope Schofield offered her condolences to their father, Joseph Jacobson, who attended via a remote link. Oh my God, let's deal with the worst of these two first of all. So, the father, Apparently he's in the UK, lives in the UK. As far as I can see online, he's up in Manchester. Used to live in Luton. Lived in Uxbridge for a while, apparently. This guy's moved around. But he's in Manchester as far as I can see. He's in the UK. Can't even be bothered to go down to Brighton for the inquest of the death of his three most beloved daughters. He does it by remote link. I mean, I don't know if the guy's already gone there. I don't know if he's laid flowers by the sea. I don't know what he's done. Has he gone to Brighton to see where the girls were washed ashore? I don't know. My feeling is he hasn't, and my feeling is he's got no real interest in going to Brighton. Number two here, the father, Joseph Jacobson. Oh, so what happened to Joseph Adjourned? Is he still around? Is Joseph Adjourned still alive and well? Why do we suddenly have Father Joseph Jacobson? What happened to the original father? If it's the same guy, coroner, would you not be curious enough to say, Mr. Jacobson, up until today it was reported your name was Joseph Adjourned. Could you explain why your last name is now Jacobson? This is a coroner. Let me remind everyone, the coroner's principal duty is to identify the victims. Yeah, along with identifying the cause of death, of course, but step one, identify, confirm the identity of the victims. Here you have the father saying my last name's Jacobson and the last names of my daughters are Aditoro and Walters. Make that make sense. This is where, coroner, if you're doing your job, you step in and say, could I just ask you, grieving father, to explain your last name? After all, it was Lillian Jacobson, his fourth daughter, that disappeared from Luton and reappeared magically in the United States. Never was missing, it seemed. So he has a history of daughters going missing. He has a history of name changes. What the hell is going on here, coroner? Wouldn't you like to know? Joseph Jacobson. Yeah. As I pointed out, this guy, when he was living in Uxbridge with someone called Christina Walters, apparently his daughter, went by the name of Jacobson. And I would submit the reason he had to go with Jacobson today and not Aditoro is because his actual real name, as per government documents, is Jacobson. It's not Aditoro. Where does Aditoro come from? Is it a middle name? Don't think so. I think it's his alternative name. I believe, I'll just put it out there, I think Joseph is someone that works with identity fraud. That is my speculation, my impression. I think he's both. I think his real official government name is Joseph Jacobson, and that's why he's on the electoral roll as Joseph Jacobson. But I have a feeling he has identity papers aplenty that also say he is Joseph Aditoro. Maybe the coroner and the police will get to the bottom of this, but I don't hold out much hope given the first 2 weeks' performance from both police and coroner. Let me go back to the article. She said she hoped the inquest into their deaths, which are still to be ascertained, stops the social media speculation around how they died. You see, this is contradiction in terms right here, isn't it? Total oxymoron. She said she hoped the inquest into their deaths, which are still to be ascertained. 2 weeks. 2 weeks they've had. They've had the autopsy. The girls are found in the sea. You would have thought it was a fairly straightforward process to say they drowned. Yeah. I obviously am not a pathologist. I'm just guessing here. I would think if the girls' lungs were filled with water, it would be pretty darn quick for the pathologist to say they drowned. But no. After 2 weeks, we've had the autopsy. Cause of death still to be ascertained. In other words, we still have no idea what caused them to die. And I'm just speculating. If they didn't drown, how could they have died? What other cause of death could there have been? Don't we have a pathologist that could at least throw out something that would make sense? And just explain why, if it wasn't drowning, it wasn't drowning? And then the coroner says hopes this stops social media speculation. It fuels the speculation. How, Penelope Schofield, are you so dumb that you cannot see. This fuels speculation. It's human nature to fill the vacuum. You've created a vacuum. You can't tell us how they died. You can't tell us how they got there. You can't really tell us who they are. And then you say, well, I hope that stops speculation. How old are you? Well, you're quite old. Mental age. How old are you, Schofield? Addressing the sister's father directly, Schofield said, it must be a difficult day for your family. Yeah, I bet it is a difficult day, Schofield, for the family. They're on pins and needles wondering if they can get through this inquest without being found criminally negligent, criminally culpable. Yeah, I bet this is a difficult day for them, but not the way you think. The loss of your daughters in these tragic circumstances must be unbearable. Are you sure it's their daughters? Are you sure? An investigation by Sussex police into how the three came to be in the water is ongoing. Yeah, well, you got till October, guys. Come on, PC Plod in Brighton. Try to figure this one out. Officers were satisfied there was no third-party involvement in their deaths. Again, I know this is UK 2026, but how can this statement make sense to the BBC or anyone else? Officers were satisfied there was no third-party involvement in their deaths. Can't explain how they got to Brighton. Can't explain how they got in the sea. Can't explain how they died. Can't explain who these people really are. And yet, oh, we're absolutely sure there's no third-party involvement. You can't be. If you don't have the answers, you can't be sure of anything, let alone who's committed any kind of criminal involvement. The apt statement here, officers, in Sussex is, while we cannot be sure of the cause of death, at the present time, we see no definite signs of criminal involvement. But we are still open to that being a possibility. Why are these people so quick to say no third-party involvement, yet they don't have any answers? This is what drives me crazy. Medical investigations are ongoing to finalise the cause of death for all three women, the inquest was told. How long does it take? I haven't Googled it. How long does it take to find out if someone drowned to death or not? The court heard Adatoro's body was brought by the RNLI to shore, where emergency services were in attendance. She was declared dead at the scene. Okay, so Christina died at sea. That was brought ashore. Christina Walters' body was also recovered from the sea. Oh, sorry. So Jane Adatoro and Christina Walters, they were both brought ashore from the sea. Their bodies were found in the sea by the RNLI. She was taken to the RNLI lifeboat station at Brighton Marina. This is Christina Walters and pronounced deceased. The body of the younger sister washed ashore near the Black Rock. So, two of them found dead in the sea, one washed ashore. Their father formally identified their bodies, the court heard. I wonder how he did that. I wonder how he identified their bodies. Are these your daughters? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Chief Superintendent Adam Hayes had previously said Sussex police would leave no stone unturned in their investigation. I hope you're telling the truth there, Adam Hayes. I hope you leave no stone unturned, but I have a fear that you'll just fob this off as an accident. The Farce said it was exploring a number of lines of inquiry which include understanding exactly who Jane, Christina and Rebecca were to help us build a picture of how and why they came to be at the beach that morning. Here we go. Like I said, if the father has no idea what job they have, if the father can't produce a photo from the last 20, 30 years, then he doesn't know them. If he doesn't know his daughters, how did they get there? What's the story here? If the police are still trying to find out who Jane, Christina and Rebecca are, then there is something obviously amiss here. Why does the coroner not pick up on this? Hundreds of hours of CCTV have been reviewed while a number of witnesses have been spoken to. Yeah, it added. I tell you what, if all those hours of CCTV show not one of these ladies at all in Brighton, chances are they got in the sea from a boat, not from the beach. I'm just saying, you'd have thought somewhere one of them would appear on camera somewhere in Brighton. If they don't, it's fair enough to speculate maybe they arrived on the shore or picked up by the RNLI because they were on a boat, not in a car driving to Brighton. I don't know. Yeah, emergency services were called at about 5:45 BST to a report of a person in the water near Black Rock car park in Madeira Drive. In a moving tribute, their father previously said, blah, blah, blah. I think most of us have heard the tribute, which I think is an AI generated tribute. It doesn't sound like it is him writing any of that. A fundraiser for the family had raised more than £44,000 as of Friday afternoon. So keep that in mind. The target was £18,000. They've hit £44,000. Kerching, kerching. Uncle Soji is still encouraging people to give as much as they can. Kerching. No hint of a scam here, not at all. And the final nail in the coffin for sanity today. The court was told the occupations of the three women, who were all born in Luton, were unknown. Unknown. Well, first of all, what does it mean? The court was told. Told by whom? Who's uttering the words that we don't know the occupation of the sisters? Is that the father, Joseph Jacobson, who was Joseph Adatoro till 5 minutes ago? Is it Joseph saying, well, I don't know what jobs they do. I've no idea. They're only my three daughters. I've no idea what. Is he the one telling the court? I have no idea what they do. Who is this person? The court was told. Whenever you hear that passive voice, was told, you've got to ask, well, who's doing the telling? Is it a police officer? How is it the police officer can't say, hey, you, father, in the video link, while you're there, can you just tell us what job they do? Or is it the father saying, I don't know what job they do? And the coroner says, yeah, let's not speculate. This is bullshit. All born in Luton. Yep, they were all born in Luton, we are told. And that's why I think quite possibly, quite probably, they are the guy's daughters. I think if there is a DNA test, it will come out that they are his daughters. I think they're all born in Luton. One of my contributors found a copy of the birth certificate for Christina, and it's definitely Luton. It makes sense the other two were born in Luton as well. The fourth sister that disappeared, age 13, but then reappeared happy, fine, smiling, and alive in Texas, USA. She disappeared from Luton, so there's definitely a Luton connection to the early years of these girls. All three born in Luton. The father has a picture of them when they were babies, very small. That picture that we've seen, where it looks like they're in a restaurant, three of them together, and they're small girls, young girls. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if that's a AI or photoshopped image. If it's a real picture, it's the only one we've seen where the girls are not babies. And there is no picture, there is no video, there's no image of these three as adults or even as older teenagers. It doesn't exist. So is it possible that the father had the three girls as babies, maybe even as little girls, and then they vanish. They vanish from his life. They vanish from the UK. There is no record of them apart from on paper, because no one can physically produce something that says this is a picture of the sisters or this is a picture of one of the sisters. No one can do that. No one in this family can say, I found a picture of Christina, of Jane, of Rebecca. So that's what I'm speculating, that they are his kids, but for whatever reason, very, very early in the sisters' lives, they're not in the UK. They're not, they don't have a presence here, just one on paper. Did they leave? Did they go to Nigeria? Did they go to USA like the fourth sister did? Are they living happily? I mean, I speculated yesterday, if you look on the dark side, maybe they had an early death, car crash or something like that. But how cynical would it be for the family to say, oh God, I tell you what, we could continue and pretend they're still alive in the UK and maybe use their identity in some kind of fraud or theft later on in life. I mean, that's hard to believe. Very hard to believe. So I'm thinking maybe they are still alive, and maybe that's why the father, no real need to go down to Brighton because they're not really dead. He knows, maybe he knows they're alive in some other country. It's just their identity that's been used for some kind of scam. Now, I will comment on one other thing. I did say in a previous video that one possibility to explain all this is that it's the identities of Jane, Christina, and Rebecca They're UK identities that have been sold, in effect, to illegal migrants coming into the country. Because my speculation was, if there's no evidence that these three girls were living in Uxbridge or Greenford or in the UK, there's no evidence they drove, if, it's a big if, but if there's no evidence they drove to Brighton, there's no evidence they walked from the beach into the sea, then is it not possible they were found in the sea, at sea, because they came from a boat? They never were on shore. And I speculated maybe the three handbags that were on the beach, all clean, pristine, put there, ready for something, it would seem. Maybe those three handbags were there, and these migrants were told, yeah, you have to jump into the sea, but it's just a minute or two of wading through the sea. You get on the beach. There are your bags with your UK identities. I speculated. And I thought, yeah, but that's so unlikely, isn't it? Who's going to do that? Who's going to cross the channel in some kind of yacht or boat to Sussex, jump in the sea and start a new life that way? Anyone ever heard of that happening? I mean, I thought they all came by dinghy to Kent. So I kind of dismissed it. And a lot of people said, you're nuts, you're conspiratorial. No one's going to come in a boat to bloody Brighton Marina and just think they can start a new life in the UK. Yeah, okay. Well, it didn't take too many minutes of research to find that, well, it has happened before, has happened this week, believe it or not. Well, not in Brighton, in Chichester, same county. Let's have a look. I should put the link for this in the description to the video so that you can find it, because it's in a publication which is local. The publication is called the Argus, but it's it's a newspaper, I think, for Sussex area paper, online. Here's the headline, and it's from the 28th of May, yesterday. Very up to date. Yacht carrying 7 people to UK intercepted in Chichester. In Chichester, just along the coast. All right, let's read it. A yacht carrying 7 people to the UK illegally was intercepted off the south coast. On Monday evening, May 25th, Border Force officers working with the National Crime Agency met the yacht as it arrived into Chichester Marina. Didn't I say? Because Brighton Marina is right next to where these girls, or one of them, washed ashore, we should think that maybe Brighton Marina is connected somehow to what's happening in the background here. And here we have Chichester Marina, a yacht with illegal migrants, it seems. 2 crew members, one a British national, aged 42, and the other an Albanian national, aged 25, were arrested on suspicion of facilitating illegal immigration to the UK. I'm just curious, I wonder if that British national, aged 42, was from West Wales. Oh, no, 42. That can't be who I'm thinking of. Yeah. And an Albanian national, arrested on suspicion of facilitating illegal immigration to the UK. A further 3 people, a British national aged 38 and 2 Albanians aged 24 and 32, were suspected of being a shore party, there to meet the vessel. I said, maybe the person that called the emergency services in Brighton for those 3 girls was part of the scam, part of the conspiracy. That person was supposed to make sure they got their handbags and their UK ID and everything was sorted out. But lo and behold, it all went wrong, and it's that person, part of the shore party, that then called emergency services and ran away. Just speculating, but it kind of makes sense. They were also arrested on suspicion of people smuggling offences. Yeah. The 5 men were questioned by NCA investigators. Were 3 later bailed, pending further inquiries. The Albanian nationals aged 25 and 32 remain in detention for immigration offences. The 7 people found on the yacht, all Albanian nationals, will be dealt with by the immigration authorities, the NCA confirmed. The NCA branch commander, Saju Sasikumar, said, tackling organised immigration crime remains a top priority for the NCA. Working with our partners in Border Force, we are determined to blah, 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 blah. Minister for Border Security and Asylum, Alex Norris, said blah, 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 blah. Thanks to the joint work from Home Office teams and blah, 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 smuggling gangs should be under no illusion that no matter the method they use, we will root them out and ensure they face the full force of the law. blah, blah, blah. Okay, so my point here is very simple. It already happened in Chichester Marina, immigrants on a yacht. Why are we so sure that didn't happen in this case with the identities of those girls, those ladies? Why are we so sure that the people that are named as Jane and Christina and Rebecca are not actually from a completely different country, entering the country illegally, but they've been set up with those identities? Care of, I would guess, Joseph Jacobson, Joseph Aditoro, Uncle Soji, maybe. Prove me wrong. Let's leave it there. More to say on this matter as more information comes in. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you next time.